hello, my brothers and my sisters. This is your brother from another mother saying, welcome everyone to this broadcast. I hope the sound is coming through and it's working correctly. We are back. We are back. We are here. We are here, and doggone it, we're going to get this sound to work properly and make sure that you can all hear and be able to take in the things that are going to be shared and said on this broadcast. Welcome, everyone. Mark De Jesus here in the house. Welcome to my house. And take a seat, kick back, relax. We're going to have a good time answering questions and getting into the world of healing and freedom and what it looks like when it comes to mental, emotional, and relationship health. Please do us a favor. Click the like and subscribe. Share this with your friends. Even share it with your mother-in-law, although be careful sharing it with your mother-in-law, in-laws, or even your parents. You know how we feel about that anyway. But welcome, everybody, to this broadcast. It's good to have you here. Be sure to check out our materials at markdejesus.com. You can check out our topics page. You can check out book materials that we have. Of course, we also have, for people that want to take the next step in their journey, we have the Healing and Freedom Community. Now, you can join today. It's a next step level that you say, you know what? I want to get access to some more course material, some training, to Q&A gatherings, as well as questions and interactions that I can have. It's a great place to take the next step on your journey. Well, thank you so much for your patience last week, as took me 45 minutes to figure out how to deal with all the technical issues that we had. So I spent this week actually redoing our sound setup, redoing pretty much everything here to just make sure the connections are good and everything's happening. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. But we're back here this week. And of course, right here, right by my side, the lovely, the amazing, and sometimes she's called the assistant, is my wife, Melissa De Jesus, is here.
The assistant is here. The assistant is here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can't hear myself the best, but that's okay.
Okay. Which one?
No, that's okay.
If I turn this.
That's great, babe.
If I turn this.
That's a little better.
I didn't do anything.
Oh. Oh, it was you talking. So, never mind.
Is that better?
Sorry. Yes, that's great.
What I just did there?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Feel free to give me any signals to let me know.
We're working through it, y'all, but you know what?
Yeah.
We got the new board, and I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, we're taking it.
Voices and all. Mm-hmm.
Potentially, yeah, potential. It's there. It's there. Do we want to talk about voices, or do we want to get to the introductions? Which do we want to do first?
Do you want to talk about? I think that you should let people know the voices that we have going on this board, because there's some slight changes that people need to be aware of. Yeah,
we're working out some of the tweaks in our microphones and things like that, just kind of settings, because I'm here, you're there. Want to make sure they're not feeding into each other and stuff like that. So
we had to work it out today.
We were working on it today. There was some noise going on that we were trying to filter out. But ladies and gentlemen, she's here. I got to give some intro music though. I got to give some.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? What's up? I'm in the house. Y'all thought I was leaving? Nah, it's happening right now. Church lady. Yes. Everybody, check 1, 2. Church lady in the house, y'all. Yes. Yeah, that's my intro music, y'all. Church lady up in here. Although my voice... This voice, a little scratchy, know what I'm saying? Like a little bit scratchy. So y'all gonna have to have the church lady with a little bit of scratchy. But I also have my daughter, she's with me, you know, she's kind of annoying, but she's a little church lady.
But Mom, you told me if I came with you and I behaved, that you would teach me how to be a church lady.
I told you, keep your mouth shut. You know, seen and not heard, all right? Seen and not heard.
Yeah, but Mom, you told me that if I came, you could teach me how to be the church lady.
You just gonna you about to get another slipper, so just, keep it down right now. Church lady ain't got no time. I'm following the Lord. I ain't got no time for my children.
So anyways, that's
well, we actually know a lot of people like that. But There are some other ones that you can.
Yes, I know people like that.
Unfortunately, we do. Yeah, Danielle said church lady got a scratchy throat from too much preaching. She does.
Yeah, I've been talking way too much. I got a little scratch going on there.
Yeah, so there's some other fun ones too. So we'll get to those
Yeah, the well there was one developing I think a better, in my opinion, a better Kmart shopper.
I think so too.
But then as we were doing it, I
had a fun suggestion of what it was.
Yeah, because I thought this would be good for attention, all Kmart shoppers. This sounds more like I'm doing an announcement. Please come to aisle 5.
And I think that it sounds like you're stuck in a bathroom stall inside a Walmart. You fell on the side of the toilet and you're stuck.
Right.
And you're like echoing in the stall. That's what it sounds like to me.
Hey guys, anyone there? I ran out of toilet paper.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
There you go. So that's that'll be Kmart shopping, and then can somebody help? Mark, I have OCD.
Yeah.
Can somebody help?
Yeah. I like that one, actually. I feel like that could be used for multiple things. I'm really into that one.
I like that I turned the church lady into a rapper.
Me too. That was fun today.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? CL in the house. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
I like it. Yeah, Dave says, is the shark sounds? You still have the shark sound.
Oh,
yeah.
Definitely. Always there.
Yeah.
That's embedded. These are all with the banners on the bottom. Those are my special creations. Of course, the what is love? And when nobody gives me a decent reply.
Yeah.
And as well as when people send me questions and they have a lot of downers in them. So that's all in there too.
Or they don't have proper spacing in capital letters. We'll do that too.
So before you go and greet everybody.
Okay.
Last week
it was eventful.
It was very, very eventful.
Yeah.
And we had our son, the unfiltered Maximus John De Jesus.
Yes.
And there's I wanted to share with everybody after the episode. We were talking with the kids and Abby was like, "Wait, what was he doing?"
It was quite
funny. So I talked with Max, and interestingly, one of the things that he said, I was like, "Wait a second."
We both were like, "What?"
Amongst all the unfiltered
the other things
stuff that was going on.
We don't need to repeat it.
But he said that he wanted to direct horror movies. And inside I was like,
we're like, first off, we don't let our kid watch horror movies. So I'm like, really, Max?
Yeah. So afterwards, I said to him,
I was more disturbed about that.
I said, bro, right, me too. I said, bro, do you know what horror movies are? What were you thinking? What were you thinking when you said horror movies?
Right. We asked him, what were you thinking when you said that? Yeah.
And he said, oh, like Jurassic World. I go, bro, that is not a horror movie.
Not. Listen, my parents did not have any control over me. No, I shouldn't say control. They weren't probably, I don't know that they thought that much about it back then, but like I watched The Shining at like a sleepover at 12 years old. Not appropriate. Should have never seen it.
Right.
Okay.
That's why I said to him, you don't even know what a horror movie is.
We thought it was quite funny to be like, Max, no. You have no idea. No. So
yeah.
He's looking at us like he's not really sure what we're talking about. But yeah, he's thinking horror is the dinosaurs eating a person, which is horrific. Okay. It is. That is horrific in and of itself.
Good point.
But
good point.
Yeah. So Max doesn't really know what that is. If that's what he thinks it is, we're just going to let him think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we got wonderful feedback from everybody, though. They were very loving to Max, and we super appreciate it.
Yeah. That's really great.
Yeah, and I think that we should invite Max in more.
We're thinking about maybe having
Max's opinion time.
Max segment. Yeah.
Yes. Like we have the church lady time, we have the Max segment time.
We need a little bit. Everybody needs a little bit of Max every now and then.
Yeah.
He might be one of those that kind of
He might be like the church lady a little bit.
I was gonna say it does kind of sound like that.
Yeah, it's will be Max's SmackDown.
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Max the Prophet SmackDown. And
yes, yeah. See, everyone would love that. Max does have great thoughts, Lenny. He does.
So something else I wanted to mention to you.
Oh, mention away.
And get your thoughts on this, and you can greet everybody in the live feed if you'd like. I saw this article a few weeks ago, and people were kind of making fun of the concept, and I actually thought it was very interesting. There is a availability of people that are called empty nest coaches, and what they do is they have sessions with couples where their kids have moved out of the house, and they are now trying to figure out how to navigate that transition of their life. And when I saw the report, the person that was posting on it was making fun of it. They're like, really, this is a thing. And I was like, that is actually a very valuable thing, because both in my youth pastoring days, later on being an assistant pastor at that same church, and also pastoring a church of my own, and then in coaching and counsel work with people over the years and the decades, this is a real thing that many couples, you invest so much in your children, you spend so much time, energy.
Well, this generation is like the newer. Well, okay, so let me throw something in there as you're talking, because I didn't read the article, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think that this, like, I'm 51, so around like 60 to 40s of kids, people having kids, right? Empty nesters, and they're not the parents their parents were. I believe people are more involved, they're more invested,
Right?
And so I think I don't know if parents prior were just like, couldn't wait for you to go, but I do think parents are struggling with letting their kids.
Well, let me share
let me
share where I was going with it, because I watched over all those years and decades. I did see where whether or not they were equipping their kids or not, they were very involved in busyness, a lot of things going on. And they
just
really,
even schedule wise, right? I hear what you're saying.
They even they struggled with a sense of moms struggled with many moms especially struggled with a sense of identity, confusion in the sense of like, where do I go now? Because many moms, and it's understandable, you can get lost in mothering because it's there in front of you every day, and now those things are not in front of you every day, and now what? Right. What does it now look like to just live as a daughter, to just live without that constant pull,
right?
And so I saw that over and over again. Dads, not so much, because there is a need for dads to kind of get more awakened to their role as fathers, So I didn't see them crying out for adjustment. I saw a lot of moms going, "This is a very difficult time," right? And in my opinion, I think that parents that are at that stage, it would be very helpful to have somebody talk through, what does this look like, even before. I think
so too.
Even way before, you're at that like last stage, and like, what does this look like now? What are things I need to be mindful of? How do I?
Right, and it's the ultimate in releasing them.
Right.
Being worried about them. So I can see how OCD would kick up like wild during that transition too.
Yeah, and you see even in a lot of the questions that are coming in are adult children who having a hard time getting, leaving father and mother, and parents having a hard time letting go.
Right.
And being able to do that in a healthy way.
Right.
And so I think this would be a great thing to help.
I think it's a great thing too.
Yeah. To help navigate families and parents and go.
Listen, coaching anybody through relationship transitions, we need it. Unfortunately, and I'm joking, but we all come from brokenness, right? Our parents didn't know how to do that, and hopefully we're the next generation of people who are changing that and fixing that and making those things healthier and wiser as we walk through them. But we all need relationship coaching.
Yeah.
We all do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
you and I talk constantly, just even with Abby at her age, and Max is a whole different thing. Yep. But we don't know what we're doing a lot of the time.
No. And that's okay.
And I know I think you have a question that we'll talk through that a little bit more, but
Yeah, maybe I should be able to get to it.
yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. It's just an interesting
Yeah, because
observation.
dynamics in the home change, and then your marital dynamic changes of not having the kids there all the time.
Yeah, and I think
confronted with things.
I
I'm
think
sure.
that I think a lot of people feel like they should be super prepared for the stages of life, that they should be able to feel this way, act this way, and then we think something's wrong with us.
Yeah.
That we're struggling with emptiness, we're struggling with a sense of maybe anxiousness or not knowing how to settle and land.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is more normal than people think. And wouldn't it be helpful to have some voices just to kind of speak encouragement to that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You want to take a moment and say hello to everybody in the
Hello.
feed?
Yep, let me scan up here a little bit. Dave Jenkins. Yo, yo.
In the house.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Adrian, hello. HS, Catherine Everett, Josh O.
Oh,
Anybody who has that, we're in now.
that's right.
And we got Danielle.
Oh,
I am Kaya. Paul. Shosha.
Shosha in the house. Uncle Paulie.
Uncle Paulie. Paige. Grace. Evan. Hello, hello. Michelle. Lovely Estelle. Rhonda. Hello, Rhonda. Sweet Rhonda. Romans 8. Ilaria. Lori. Marty. Mar. Willow. Denise.
I feel like maybe
What?
maybe I gave you some beats while you're saying hi to everybody.
All right. Hey now. Do a little ditty bop. Strawberry. What's going on? I don't know. It kind of helps. I'm not going to lie.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
Everybody in Rumble.
Hold on. Well, I'll get there in a second. Hold on. Hubim. Did I say Kathleen? I'll just say it again. Hello, Miss Kathleen. Etchi T. John. Piccinati. Rocks.
Is the music annoying you?
No, I actually like it.
Okay, all right.
I
'Cause
like it a lot.
I like it too.
I want to just kind of sit and ditty bop here a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheryl, Anna, Lindy, Taste His Goodness, Lynn and Janata.
Ayo.
Oh, Emma, Tyrus. Olas, am I saying that right? Yeah, they said the church lady sounds sick. Yeah, she sounds a little scratchy. A little scratchy. Miguel!
Listen, we're working with what we got.
I know. Let me just, I actually feel with this music quite chill, just scanning through.
Yeah.
Just scanning through. Okay, let's see here. I don't know. I think I got everybody. Pete. Hi, Pete. Patrick. Let's see. All right, down in the end. I don't know. A couple names I can't say. So, Kiala. Oh, nice. I like that. I am Kaya. She's always good where she puts the little dancing ladies. I like it.
Yeah.
Something Canary. Jessica from the Netherlands. Hello, girl. Hi, Zach. I think we got everybody.
All right.
Listen, everybody that are members, thank you. Oh, wait, no, Rumble. Margaret holding it down on Rumble, and other people I see are in there, so welcome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know it. Uh-huh.
All right, that's good. Very good.
Listen, before you continue,
Yeah.
if you have super chats, please feel free to put them in there. We try to catch them as soon as they come through. If Mark is dealing with a question, what J&M Property? Hello. He said, "What about me?" Hi. We will deal with them. Not deal with them, but we will read them as they come in. So
Fantastic.
those get priority. So
Fantastic. And if you have questions, go ahead and send them to markdejesus.com/questions. And be sure to take a moment and consider, has this question already been addressed? Do a little searching. And all you have to do really is type in my name in your search engine and then type the topic or the area. And you may find there's already videos on it. So take advantage of that. But I actually wanted to take a moment to read. There's some very nice thank yous that come in, and some of them really move me. And so I like from time to time to just be able to to read them and just share with you back my appreciation. This one hits home for me because it really encouraged some big decisions that were made by a couple. Anyway, hi, Mark. I just wanted to tell you how much you have been a part of me and my husband's journey. Here's a little part of our story. We were part of a very legalistic, performance-based IFB church, Independent Fundamental Baptist Church. My husband was on staff for many years, and she gave the dates there at a Bible college that is part of the church. A little background, my husband felt so empty, depressed, no peace, and so much pressure from the pastor to see people saved and do all these things in the ministry on the weekends. On top of that, he had to work a second job to make ends meet, and yet was expected to be out soul winning or some type of ministry on the weekends. This pressure was put even more on him since he was a staff member. The college and church were so interconnected, so if we left the church, he also would have no job. He has so much war in his mind. He did think about leaving, but just didn't know what to do if he did or how to go about it. So a few years ago, a counselor recommended your books, and I started listening to your podcast. I shared it with my husband, and he came across an episode that you addressed about feeling empty, and you gave your testimony of how you left the ministry and did a secular job for a while, etc. Long story short, that episode gave my husband the strength and encouragement to leave his job at the college and just leave the cult-like ministry completely.
Amen.
Got some amens up here in the choir. Give that a little bit of some applause going on here. So they left a few years ago, and your teachings has helped us heal and work through legalistic and performance-based thinking. You have no idea how much you have been such a lifeline to my husband and I, and brought us hope and freedoms in our lives, hearts, and minds. Thank you. Well, thank you. Right back to both of you for writing to me, and I pray that grace, truth, and God's love will just continue to follow you in this healing process. So that's absolutely fantastic. That moved my heart so much to be able to read that. So
I know.
Let me take some time now and for what Sunday Night Live is, and that's to get to some of your questions. Do my best. Got quite the stack here. This question has to do with going around the mountain over and over again and believing lies. How many of you find yourself going, here we going around the mountain, here we go. You just find yourself going around the mountain all the time. I have a take on going around the mountain that is often different than what other people say, but I think it is a helpful perspective that may encourage some of you. And it's a brief question. It says, how is it that although I am now aware of what I have and what I'm dealing with, I still get duped into believing the lies? And the subject title was Around the Same Mountain. And the first thing I want to say to this is the whole concept of going around the mountain. We often go, well, doing the same thing, expecting different results is a recipe for insanity, right? And it's understandable. I understand where that statement comes from, what it's trying to say, and what it's trying to communicate. But it doesn't give us room for learning. Because I don't know about you, if I'm going up a mountain I've never been to, I'm going the first time, I may end up going around an area that I end up going around the same spot again, and I got to figure out where I am. I don't have a great sense of direction in real life anyway. So I have to remind myself to drive without GPS because I rely on it too much. Like, let my brain just learn where I'm at and just go. And you have to let yourself learn in the journey that, yeah, many times you have to go around the mountain 10 times until you finally go, okay. And people who have OCD or have depression, anxiety, have any kind of mental health struggle that they're going through, you often have to go through these ruts where you go, okay, the way that I'm going about this isn't working. So you said, I'm now aware of what I have and what I'm dealing with. And so this perfectionistic pressure could come in and go, well, now that you know and you know what you're dealing with, you should be over it now. And you should stop believing these lies and you should just get free. And that's just not necessarily true. It's too much pressure and it doesn't give you room for learning. I found in my journey, I'd had to hit my head against the wall countless times until I came to the realization of I need some teaching, I need some help. Then I get some teaching, I get some help. And then I have to put it into practice. Then I'd fall on my face again. Then I would need reminders. Oh man, I I need to get back to the fundamentals. I need to get back to the foundations. This is what it is. And keep allowing myself to practice. Now you say, why do I still get duped into believing the lies? Now, a large percentage of those who come to my materials have compulsive issues. They have obsessive issues. And one of the problems that happens with OCD is that you get very tuned into your feelings. You get very tuned into how what you associate your feelings with, how you respond to your feelings, getting lost in your feelings. So the real reason why we get trapped into lies is because we often get looped into our feeling pathways over and over again. We get caught in those conditioned loops where you feel anxious or you feel disturbed, you feel guilt, you have this, and you have these pathways that kind of easily go into these ruts. So the key to this is, first of all, don't beat yourself up that you get pulled by lies. We're learning how to change fathers in areas of our life, right? We're unplugging from the father of lies and the distortions and the condemnation that he puts in our life, and we're plugging our hearts and our minds into who Father God truly, really is. And this isn't just like one plug and then everything changes. It's a process. It's continual. Each day, we're changing daddies and realizing I'm not listening to the father of lies anymore. I'm learning a new pathway of how I relate. I'm learning a new way of how I relate to my thoughts. And really, a lot of coming into truth is learning how to come into truth that is wrapped in the love of God, because truth arrives in love. And so as we're learning truth, we're also learning love, because love is the conduit by which truth is sent our way. We're speaking the truth in love. And so many of us associated truth with all the condemning stuff that we listened to and heard, and we associated that's what I need to listen to. So many of us have lies that are infused in ways of relating to God and relating to people. Many people have the God told me kind of thing that they get lost in, you know. This is God, and a lot of things they're associating as God is really not him, and they're learning how to get renewed in that. So you got to be patient with yourself in the process as you're learning to lean into the truth that sets you free. But anyways, I hope that question encourages your journey. The next one has to do with phobias. And kind of getting down where phobias come from. Hi, Mark and Melissa. I have so many broken areas that I would like to ask of questions, but I will start with one concerning phobias. Where do they come from? Why do we develop them? Now, there's a lot of ways that they can develop, but I want to first say that question will get you lost. In one of the hang-ups that we get lost in is trying to find the origin of where this battle began and where it is. And we get lost in that. It becomes unproductive. But phobias are very similar to OCD in how we approach them, how you deal with them, because both phobias and both OCD need a level of exposure to that which we are afraid of, so that we no longer are feeding the fear. We're overcoming the fear of whatever the subject is. And so phobias are fear-based, and so is OCD. They're both fear-based, and I teach in my materials, and I will not fear, how to really draw the line in the sand with this fear business. And it comes about in different forms. Fear comes in the form of anxiety, comes in the form of worry, comes in the form of foreboding. It comes about in the form of stress, distress, despair. Comes in a lot of different ways that we can even, call our concern. I'm just concerned, that we can often mask and not just go, well, it's just fear. So phobias are specifically the work of fear over a specific area that when that issue crosses your path, it creates an intense sense of anxiety that usually causes avoidance, get me out of here, and then causes projections of avoidance in, I hope that doesn't happen, or you could sit there and spin about the thought of it happening. And by just glancing through your question, some of what you're sharing sounds a bit obsessive compulsive too, that in the way that you compulsively, think about the subject. But where do they come from? Many people can get lost in, well, I'm afraid of this. I wonder if there's something that happened when I was a kid or I was a child. And really, it's not so much the content that you need to trace, but more of an understanding, how are you taught to deal with fear? Because fear, once it grabs something, and for people, you can kind of find yourself reacting to something, and all of a sudden it becomes a major force. It doesn't necessarily mean the topic has to mean something. I tell the story of when I moved here that I was redoing our deck, and I was really excited about this project and was working daily on it whenever I had any free moment. And a black rat snake came in and crawled right under the joist that I was working on. And I had a big beam over my shoulder, and boy, my legs fell through the joist, banged my shin and my ankles. The beam I had dropped, and my son comes out. He goes, "What's going on, Dad?" I go, "There's a snake under there." Now, I had a phobic response. He didn't. So he goes, "Where is it?" And he's wanting to crawl under the rafters and go and find it. And I was amazed at his reaction, whereas mine was, "Oh my goodness." And then I had thoughts of snakes for a while after that. Well, I realized soon after that, okay, moving into Connecticut, I don't remember ever seeing snakes in the backyard or anything like that.
No,
I go, all right, around here, snakes are snakes are more common. We got a lot of different kinds. So the next time one showed up, I had that initial reaction, and I taught myself, okay, this is where I've got to. So I have to learn a new response. I actually stood there, watched the snake going. I had the anxiety rise up, and I didn't run. I didn't react the way I normally would, but I felt anxious, and I let it just wash through my body. I'm gonna practice that over and over again, and that's a lot of times what we need when it comes to phobias, is lovingly encouraging ourselves that when this stimulus happens, to it's the fear that got conditioned in us, and it doesn't need to necessarily whatever the subject content was. Oh, was I a kid and I was pushed into a snake? No, it's usually something that you're not comfortable with or familiar with, so it creates a distorted reaction. Anyways, so you ask, you say I have a ridiculous phobia. Now, all phobias are, if we really looked at them, we could say they're ridiculous. If we really, broke down whatever people are obsessive about or people are phobic about. And you can look up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of phobic subjects online that they have all kinds of names for them. So let's not call it ridiculous. It's just a phobia. It is what it is. Since I was a very little child, whenever I say it, people laugh, and I can understand that sounds funny, but for me, it's a real problem. I have a pigeon phobia. Is there a name for that? Is it like
really? I'm gonna look this up.
Is that pigeonophobia?
They are dirty birds, aren't they?
What? Aren't they the ones that hold the messages?
Yes, it's called ornithophobia.
Say that again.
Birds. Ornithophobia.
Okay.
Fear of birds or species of birds.
All right, but specifically, pigeon. Isn't it?
Listen, speaking of horror movies, after I saw that movie, The Birds, which I was way too young to be, again, should never have seen it, and I did, and that created a phobia in me. Did you ever see that movie?
No, it did make me think of that too. This isn't helping the question, but
sorry, I know.
No, it actually came to my mind. I was going to bring it up myself too, but yeah. So I think when we talk about phobias, we do need to laugh at them, and we can say we can kind of go in shame and go, people are making fun of it and laughing. And I think what we need to do is be able to keep laughing at it to lighten the subject, because what happens is we build the story of the subject. We feed into it, and now we feed the fear. You may feel fear, but you don't have to feed it. Okay? So this is, people I work with people who have fear of driving. They have fear of driving at night. They have fear of certain animals, fear of, and the list can go on and on. Okay. So you say, I can tolerate other types of birds if they don't fly next to me. So you can tolerate birds as long as they don't fly near you, but if you see a pigeon, I am actually really, really scared when they flap their wings, and I don't know why. A lot of it, too, comes to just lack of experience. People that have fear of public speaking, what do you need to do? You need to practice speaking in front of people, which the famous Seinfeld joke says, People are statistically more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying, which means at a funeral, most people would rather be in the casket dead than actually giving the eulogy. It's a good joke. Really, really good joke. But it's true. This shows how fear can be it can train us to be very irrational. When I'm actually really scared when they flap their wings, and I don't know why. I think you're getting lost in the why. When I was a child, I used to have hallucinations at night about pigeons. It is full of pigeons everywhere, and I'm always hyper vigilant about it. If I see one, I have to change streets in order to escape them. Sometimes I do dangerous things like crossing a street with cars running. I don't know how to overcome it. I don't know why I have it. Rationally, I understand they don't harm people, and that is silly. I can't overcome it. I've been living like this my whole life. Some people say this is a really common phobia, yet I've never met anyone who has it. Well, like I said, don't call it ridiculous, silly. It is what it is. But I think it is important to laugh at it a little bit. We got to lighten the intensity of the subject. And 3, lovingly practice when you have opportunities. Oh, there it is. I'm not going to do what I normally do.
Pigeons can deliver messages, can't they?
Yeah.
My sister and I were talking about, just prepper stuff because, sometimes I get into that. Anyway, don't get me started. I said to her, we need to buy a pigeon because we're like, how would we get in contact with each other? And then she looked up satellite phones and she was like, they're too expensive. I said, let's get a pigeon. We'll train the pigeon. It'll send a note. You send a note back.
Right. Right.
Listen.
And they'd be like, wait, sorry, last message didn't go.
Then I'll be like, wait, did my pigeon come back? Is he in my yard? Because I can't tell the pigeons from other birds. I would get,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
My pigeon dropped the message. Sorry about that. It never got through.
The dog ate the pigeon.
The message I sent you to apologize that I'm sorry, it never went through. So
yeah.
But anyways, I would encourage.
We're not demeaning the fear. I'm just
we do need to laugh a little.
Sometimes we got right.
Yeah. But I would recommend the material I Would Not Fear. I also have in the if you feel like, hey, I want to make a deeper investment, I have a course called the Anxiety Healing Journey that has some stuff on phobias in there too. But the OCD Healing Journey would help out a lot as well. So because there's a lot of crossovers in what you're talking about here. Okay, this one, I think I'll be able to address this one briefly.
Well, can we? Can I just ask? You may not be in the mood or the church lady may not be in the mood. But someone asked, what would the church lady think of rapping and music, the rap music?
I don't know, because it is kind of worldly. You know what I'm saying? And
she says, "No, what I'm saying though."
I turned her into a rapper.
You turned the church lady.
Gnome saying.
I can't.
Well,
if we could combine the church lady and the fact that she fell into a bathroom stall in Walmart, that would be amazing.
Rap music. Let me tell you something, okay? Rap music is okay as long as it's under the blood.
And I just rap because under the blood, me say me under the blood. Under the blood, me say me under the blood. Jesus cover me under the blood. Under the blood, me say me under the blood. Jesus, you will cover me under the blood. In the morning when me wake up, and the blood that Jesus me take up. And when me feel like me, I go break up. Put the blood on me face just like a makeup. In the morning when me wake up, and the blood that Jesus me take up. And when me feel like me heart break up, put the blood on me face just like a makeup. Under the blood, under the blood, Jesus cover me. Jesus, you will cover me. Say under the blood, under the blood, Jesus, you will cover me. Drum and bass. Listen. Christian a fight some things with them not see. Stronghold demons and principality. My body at the temple, keep it holy, sanctified, justify, give God the glory. Fighting against three terrible enemy. The world, Satan and myself against me. What the anointing, pour it on me and make me trample the devil on it. Say, under the blood, under the blood, Jesus cover me.
Jump on bass.
You want to hear it? Drum and bass.
Jump on bass.
Drum and bass, listen. Christian a fight some, play low, let them hear me. Listen, the physical man can't
That's my
fight no
that's my
demon.
favorite
He's
part.
like,
That's my
zip
favorite
it.
part.
He's
My
like,
favorite part
zip
is
it up. Mm-hmm.
I had to change my ears out because my other ones
Those
were hurting
one
me.
hurt. Oh.
Yeah, I love the jump on BS,
Mm-hmm.
and then the need to hear me.
He's like, cool it down. Let me talk. Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me get into the question I was on, and feel free to jump in with super chats if you like. But I got a lot of stuff here. Hello, Mark. Thank you for being obedient to the Lord and starting this ministry. May God bless you and your family abundantly. Mark, I'm so depressed, anxious, and weary. I'm constantly worried if I'm a true believer of Jesus. All right. You took what you were going through, what you're feeling, and we got to talk about interpretation. You say here, you're depressed, you're anxious, and weary. And so there's something in you that tells you that means you're not a Christian. And that's actually a very, very common thing that gets said, and that as a follower of Christ, you should never feel depressed. You should never feel anxious. You should never feel low or any of those kind of emotions. And it's really eroding the mental health of people unnecessarily. Big time. Jump on base. Okay? So I want to serve at church, but I'm worried I'm not saved. I don't have anyone really to tell what I'm struggling with, and fellowshipping with other believers has been difficult. I don't know who I am and whose I am. I feel like I'm lost and I don't know what to do and where to start. I'm scared of God and having a hard time seeing him as my father. Well, a lot of what you're sharing is the signs of scrupulosity. You have a distortion in how you see God, so that you think your feelings of depression and stuff that you're going through means you are not his, or that you are not a believer. I'd encourage you to start walking through the OCD journey healing material. I have free stuff on my help page that you can get a hold of. So that's where I would go with that. All right, let's talk about parenting. This will be interesting because I think there's going to be a lot.
Awesome. Yeah.
You and I will relate to in this one. Hello de Jesus family. I discovered you last year, and it's been a blessing to watch your broadcasts and read a couple of your books. I have become aware of my OCD perfectionist, anxiety, and fear-driven tendencies, and I'm praying and working through them, albeit painfully slow, which actually, that sounds normal, and that sounds about right. So that's great. I am now noticing these tendencies within my children, especially my 9-year-old daughter. Yeah, and it is common that as parents, the more you become aware of where these battlegrounds are hitting you, you'll also notice it. You'll notice some of them in your children. Now, many parents spiral when you see some of those battlegrounds in your children. Don't spiral. Don't panic. Nobody panic.
Nobody panic just yet. Maybe I'll tell you when to panic, but don't panic just yet.
Because it can really kick up your perfectionistic tendencies. Again, the ones you're trying to get free from. You see your kids struggling, stuff that you've had in your journey, and don't panic, because you actually can position yourself as a parent to walk with your child through some of those struggles and be a voice, be a support, be a help. But it does take a lot of patience. It does take a journey. So I want to say that before I get to some of your questions. I've listened to your broadcast about parenting while healing yourself, and I'm still not sure if I know how to do things practically. Well, as a recovering OCD or perfectionist, you're going to be looking for the rules. Mm-hmm. You're going to be looking for, am I doing it just right? Am I following the just right rules? Am I doing things correctly? You have to be aware as parents, are you creating a rigidity that cramps you in? This is something I'm working through layer after layer. And I'm at a whole nother level of it now that our kids are teenagers, of understanding how to give myself grace as I'm trying to teach them, as I'm trying to empower them. And this is a journey, because most parents out there, I think you would say to me, yeah, I don't know that I was given a whole lot of tools in parenting. You're kind of blazing a whole new trail. So perfectionistic influences are a big part of awareness here. Okay, let me get to the meat here of what you're talking about. My husband and I have had very firm and clear boundaries with our children. However, we also try to do gentle parenting techniques where we explain reasons behind why certain rules and boundaries are in place. In the past year or two, we have noticed that our daughter is much more passive aggressive. Okay, so you have boundaries with
How
your
old is her daughter?
9. So you try to be compassionate and gracious from the standpoint of here's the rules, here's why we have them. I feel like sometimes, and maybe even many times, I'm thinking out loud right now. I feel like sometimes that can backfire. We can feel the need to over-explain. Now, when we grew up, it was because I told you so, right?
Right.
And maybe you grew up with that. And they'd say, I told you so. And then sometimes it'd go into when I was your age. You know, that was when I was your age, I had to walk uphill or, in snow against the Earth's rotation, uphill both ways. And a lot of parenting was because I said so. And I do remember as a kid going, isn't there any room for reasonability here of, can I explain this? Can we talk about this? Like certain rules of TV or certain shows, they'd say, don't watch that. And I'd be like, could you take a minute and just watch it with me and then tell me? And it was like, no, so then next generation can go, we try to explain our heart a little bit more. And that can be, you have a great heart in doing that. And I find myself doing that too.
Yeah, we do that.
But I also find we can overdo it.
Yes.
And I think we're in that place where we're realizing you can't overdo it. And sometimes go, no, this is it. And you don't understand. We've had a number of conversations even lately with our kids of like, you're just going to, at some point down the road, you'll understand this. But right now you're fussing with it. And it is what it is. And so, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I just that we can relate.
Yeah, I think a lot of what I'm sharing here is stuff we can relate to.
A lot of people can relate. And back to, we're in the generation of, like you said, okay, it's because I said so, which maybe we need to adapt a little bit of that too.
Yeah.
But we're like, I don't want to do what they did. So
yes.
We are overcompensating
Yeah.
and spinning our wheels. And you and I have had to say to each other, okay, enough. We said what we had to say.
Yeah, I find myself realizing that I can try too hard. I'm over explaining, over listening, over talking, over and
over tending, like there. I know this sounds awful, not awful to say, but over tending to their heart. Like we're overly concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
That we overdo it, then we're exhausted, and then you just get the dead stare.
Yeah, and you start getting into striving where you are
excellent.
You are putting so much energy into something, and everybody has this, and we have like these pendulum swings from our generation, right? Of what we saw. So the pendulum swings. Now, if we let grace have a work, God's going to balance that out. So, when we often are in one ditch, we kind of swing out, right, in certain things. Mm-hmm. And then God is good in his graciousness. And over time, we kind of balance that out. And sometimes so I found myself, over-explaining, over-addressing something. And then realizing, no, I don't need to do that. You explain enough. This is it. This is what you guys need to follow. And you need to understand. Because there's so much that we go to our kids. You guys have no idea. Mm-hmm. The fact that I sit down here with you and go, how are you feeling? How does that make you feel? That was never asked to me in the history of my life until I sat in a counselor's office.
Right.
I sometimes think, my goodness, if I had this kind of, and it's like hard to explain to them, you don't know what you have. And they're like,
you don't even want to know.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, Dad, we're grateful. And it's like, forget it. You just, and I think that there is a swing with mental health awareness where we can swing too much into feelings and this is
so
how you feel.
aware, and we don't want to wound them, and we don't want them to carry the wounds that we have and end up. We've jokingly said to each other, like, okay, maybe Abby will end up in a counselor's office one day. Like, I don't even know. Maybe she will.
And that's
Maybe
part.
she will.
And that's
we
part
have to
of
let that go too.
And that's part of exposure therapy in the sense of like not letting that fear.
Right.
That
we're horrible parents.
Correct.
Or we're not doing it right. Or right.
Correct. Because we all have our journey in learning this, and the key is just stay humble, just stay teachable along the way. But there is a pendulum swing, even we're seeing it in culture, where there is overprotective parenting. There is a lot of helicoptering, a lot of bubbling of kids, and we'll kind of see, what that produces. Because there is an aspect where I look at our kids and go, man, they're going to need some resilience. We had some conversations even this week where we were sharing a little, you and I, of our journey of like what you grew up with and how you came to Christ. And then even for me, yes, I grew up in the church, and yes, my parents took me to church, but I had some mental health battlegrounds that like were crippling me to the core of not even being able to function. And I had to really dig deep and go, okay, God, I got to learn how to walk in some healing because this is not going well. And I had to really find a personal journey connecting to God in that way. And there is an aspect where I go, okay, are our children learning resilience?
Right.
Because that's
an excellent question. Right.
Now, in the meantime, we're parenting. I don't have a score sheet that goes, hey, you're doing good. You're doing good in this area, but adjust this area.
Right.
We don't have that. It's kind of like, God, I'm just trusting you, and I'm releasing my children to your care each day, and I'm going to be available as a vessel to love them and care for them in the best way I know how. Because really, parenting is me and you working on ourselves.
True.
And letting that reflect in how we approach things, how we react.
And I want to say, too, to where she's getting those responses, because we go through that with Abby, of where she's looking at us like, you go, do you even like me right now?
Yeah.
Just being honest.
Yeah.
And there's times where we've done all we can do, and we've had to lovingly even say to each other, okay, you've explained it all. You've done enough. You've loved enough. And there's that tension in parenting of going, okay, maybe I'll see the fruit of this in 2 years.
Yes. You got to have the long view.
Like I'm staying in the game, and I have to trust that. I've had to just talk myself off a ledge of like, I'm failing her. I'm not seeing the responses that I want.
Yes.
Then my pain of that age, I'm trying to give her what I didn't have, and so then that's all in the mix.
Same here.
And then we've had that conversation with each other where it's like, okay, we may not see the fruit of this. I just had to tell myself it this week. Maybe I'll see it in 3 years.
Yep.
Now,
Right.
It's tough.
Yep.
Raising kids is tough.
Really, really, really challenging. And I.
Oh goodness.
Well, let me go back.
Continue on, boo.
Yeah, let me go back
Go
to
ahead.
just some more of this because I basically relate to most of what she's sharing here. Okay, the past year or two, we have noticed our daughter is much more passive aggressive. She seems to shut down whenever we tell her no for certain things. She'll ruminate and stay stuck in that foul mood for a while, and I try to rationalize with her and coax her out of it and tell her why we said no in the first place. Been there, done that.
Oh, we do this.
Yeah.
Whoever this person is, we relate. Okay.
Yeah.
Winkety wink.
Yeah, we relate, and we found ourselves going, yeah, we need to. We don't need to explain this.
I'm going to tell you what. I can be jokey, passive aggressive myself. So I can do all those things. I will say though too, and we have had these conversations. And Mark, please, jump in when I say this.
Jump on base.
The day and age of social media and how everything's a joke. Everything's sarcastic. Now, I don't know how much you let your 9-year-old look at those things, but Abby sees those things. We have time things. We have limits on things, but she sees it. Everything is jokey and passive aggressive in TV shows.
Sarcasm.
In all the Disney and anything you watch, That's how these kids are learning to communicate
Right.
amongst their friends. I see the joking between. It's all passive aggressive. So when they then do it to us,
Yep.
it's like, what?
Yep.
Who
Yep.
are you talking to?
Yeah. It's like,
Mm-hmm. Who you think you talking to?
Okay.
Might be
And
some of that going on.
and there's a part of it too where we are talking to them in a, I would say, more adult than I was spoken to, and how we're trying to talk through emotions and giving them emotional language.
Wait, hold on. We were spoken to? Sorry, go ahead.
right.
There, I just did sarcasm.
Right.
Yep.
And that's how they're learning to communicate.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there.
yeah, I feel like there's a constant bombardment of how other kids communicate, what's on TV, what's on screens. I feel like I'm constantly holding flood walls back. And so anyways,
Let me tell you something. When I was young, my mom had a paddle. Okay. My grandfather made it. Or my grandfather's in-law, whatever. Somebody in West Virginia made it. And that paddle had holes in it. So when that sucker would catch air, okay, I think I may have gotten whacked with it a couple times, and then it was in a drawer. And when my mother would inch towards the drawer,
right. That's all she
you
do.
were like, shape up or ship out.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I want to hit my daughter with a paddle, but there are times where you're like, I would like to see a little bit of like sobriety of
Yes.
I
Yes.
have a little bit of fear. They don't have these. I don't know.
I do feel like our kids have it too easy.
They do.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I don't know.
So pray for your brother from another mother and your sister from another mister, because it is an interesting dilemma. Anyway.
Go ahead.
So, okay. So what's happening here, and this is just my opinion, she's going into self-pity. And I spend a lot of time teaching our kids about pity, victim thinking,
Yeah.
and like those rejection coping ways. But I don't teach on it in the moment when it's happening. I wait for outside the moment to go, hey, by the way, when that happened, do you realize what that was?
Yeah.
Okay, that's this. We talk a lot about self-pity because it's a very crippling emotional coping mechanism. That's why I have a whole bunch of videos on it. I did a short one the past month or so, but I have a long form. In fact, I had both of our kids go through my series, Breaking the Limitations Off Your Life. And I had them go through victim thinking, self-pity, and foreboding. Had them take notes on it, had them go through it. It took them, quite a few weeks to go through it. I said, take your time, go through it, and I want you to have notes. And then I sat down with them and walked through, like, what'd you get out of it? Now, your daughter's 9, so maybe a few more years, but maybe not. You might be able to get, well, we were talking to Abby about pity very, very young.
Yeah, because she had it. She was manifesting it very young. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a very early coping mechanism. Now, when I looked at that, I go, oof, it's uncomfortable, because I go, that's me. I get it. And I go, okay, God, I've broken that in my life. I see it in her, so I'm equipped now to help parent this, but it's still a fight, because what it does is it pushes the parent away, and it's a way that I find it's a way the enemy tries to, keep these thoughts going of they don't love you and they're unloving. And but the answer is not over explaining. There's times where it's like, hey, when you're ready to come out and when you're ready to come out and have a good conversation, you're going to take a break. When you're ready to come out and have a good, a regular conversation with us. But then also, you're not going to stay in there all night and just be into a pity party, right? It's like this. It's like this tug.
Right. And so that's what we come from, is where they just ignored, because either they didn't know how to handle it, or they just were like exhausted. I don't have time for this.
Yep. Yeah.
And we're wanting to not do that.
Right.
But so, I was just saying this to my sister, and Mark and I were talking. I don't have the examples. So a lot of us are trying to figure this out.
Mm-hmm. And you have to give yourself room.
You have to give yourself room. I was just going to say.
To make mistakes.
Yep.
Whatever that means. Because sometimes what we look at as mistakes, it's really just learning.
Right.
And be kind to yourself in it. But just notice when you're trying too hard and go, okay, throttle it back. Okay, God, you've got this, because you'll exhaust yourself.
Yeah.
You say she'll ruminate and stay stuck in that foul mood for a while, and I try to rationalize with her and coax her out of it and tell her why we said no in the first place. She does not ever seem to want to hear it. I know where the balance is between explaining our rationale to our 9-year-old. I don't know, sorry. The difference between explaining our rationale to our 9-year-old and yet sometimes needing to just tell her that she needs to obey because we just said so. Because it seems that she gives us an attitude either way.
Right.
I hear you, sister. So now I am
Listen.
not sure of speaking to her and trying to rationalize with her is working. Yeah, I'd probably throttle that over towards, this is it, I just said it, and not over explaining it. You know, the thing that I don't ever want to be, because in my mind when I think of this, I think of like parenting experts, you know, and they get these questions and they're like, you know what, stop babying that child. And you know, and it's like, you know, the last thing we need is being shamed about our parenting, because I actually relate to everything you're sharing here. And what you need is encouragement. I'm also afraid of not validating her feelings enough. Although my husband and my parents assure me that we do validate her feelings quite a bit. So that is a clear signal. You're going to have to lean more towards, hey, nope, put the boundary up. And
right, we're not seeing the fruit right now, but we are staying in the game as parents, and it will bring forth fruit.
yeah. And maybe we all need to form a support group.
Yeah. Can I read Josh? Oh.
Yes. Oh.
Wonderful super chat from Josh O. Much love, guys. Praise God. I could sing. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Thank you, Josh
Here
O.
below. Praise Father, how's it go? Son and Holy Ghost. There we go. That's one of those hymns I learned. I had to
You gonna learn this song, all right?
What else do we have here?
So I just would like to reiterate to everybody, because people are like, what about my question? What about my question? We don't answer every single question that comes in.
Right.
And Mark has gone over this. Mark, if you saw his inbox, you would be like, whoa. When it comes to questions, a lot of the questions, we have already done multiple videos on them. So search the topic.
Right.
I know everyone thinks they're specific, especially when it comes to OCD, that their specific story is unique to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear you. However, it has the same framing around it that it would for answering a lot of the other OCD questions. So you need to just go and look those things up.
Yeah.
There are things that sometimes are just either too long. We went over how people are submitting questions in giant blocks that are very, very difficult to read. And then when it comes to the chat, I will read super chats. Now, if there's something that sticks out to me and I can throw it in between when Mark is questioning, I try to do that. Otherwise, please submit the questions to Mark's email. Did that cover it?
Well said.
Thank you.
So where do I go next here? Speaking of OCD, which be sure if you've got those kind of battlegrounds, get the book, because you're going to have to take a journey. This is not something you're just going to fix overnight or, throw into a quick fix kind of process. It's going to be a journey that you're going to need to enter into. So my question today revolves around having multiple OCD themes, which is very, very common. You feel like I got over that one. Then another one pops up. And you start playing whack-a-mole, and you'll have to learn how to stop playing whack-a-mole and chasing the themes that keep coming up. I know that the tools I've learned in therapy can apply to any theme. Yes, that's true. However, I'm running into a situation where every time it seems to change or shift onto a different aspect. Let me try to read that sentence again. I'm running into as another thing of questions. Help me with, do a little read through before you send it in. Where every time it seems changes. Okay. Every time it seems changes or shifts onto a different aspect about the original obsession. I'm running into a situation where every time I seem changes. I spin out and it's hard for me to remember what my tools are. My current theme has been around developing schizophrenia and being sure whether or not I'm hearing something or seeing something that's not there. Yeah, there was a time in my life where I thought I was schizophrenic. It was one of my spin-outs. And I was like, maybe I need help with that. I started looking up stuff on that and trying to figure out that. And you chase that, and because you're afraid, oh my goodness, I'm so ill, it's going to be terrible. And it's just another fear that rises up. But it seems that you go into an obsession, it changes subjects, it goes back to the original one, and you forget what the tools are. Then you need write them down. Write them down, place them all over. I used to have sticky notes. I used to joke and tell people, if you have to tattoo it on your forehead backwards, so when you look in the mirror, you see it there. I don't mean that literally, but do whatever you do to remind yourself of what you need to be reminded of, because you leak. When you have stuff that you get and that's helpful, you also leak it out very easily. And we have to be reminded and reminded and reminded. So find ways to remind yourself. I'm working through this and learning to be graceful and patient with myself. So then write that in banners all over your house, wherever you can, to remind yourself. Be graceful, be kind to yourself, be patient. Let patience have its work. Whatever it is that helps you and are helpful reminders. But I got to tell you, sometimes it's really hard because I just want it all to go away. And that's one of the traps we fall into. I want these thoughts to just go away. I want the battle to just leave me alone. And it's not. It's not going to go away. It's not just going to leave you alone. These thoughts are not just going to disappear. And the quicker that you realize that, the better it's going to arm you up to begin to develop spiritual, emotional muscles that continually remind you each day, I have to face these things and work through them. And we want to take a vacation from it. We want to take a day off from the battle. It's understandable. But the more you recognize, having a resilient heart, that, hey, listen, I got to battle these things and I got to work through them, and I got to find my way in this journey to heal and overcome. Because there is, you're looking for quick fixes, and you're chasing with a whack-a-mole kind of mindset and not realizing or getting it embedded in you. I have an obsessive compulsive grid in how I approach things in life. And I need to start working through those distortions and work through those core areas that are driving the way that I react to these thoughts. It's not about the thoughts going away. It's about changing how you react to them that disempowers them. It's a different perspective. I'm also learning how to have a true relationship with God. A true relationship with God. What does that mean? True relationship versus relationship. You just have a relationship with God through all of us. But I can't say that it's easy building the new neuropathic ways of thinking. I think you mean neural pathways, way of thinking. I feel like an addict without any clothes and exposed and vulnerable. Yes. And when you're working through obsessions and compulsions, it's like a drug addict coming off of a drug. It feels like that. And your withdrawal symptoms are, I got to go back to what I was doing, my ruminating, my fixing, my spinning over it. I got to go back to that again and again and again. And so, yes, you do feel like an addict. You're in your withdrawal symptoms. So keep moving forward. Let the detox have its work. Let love have its work. And I encourage you, get the book and go to the OCD help page. Go through every single video on that multiple times. I can't say that enough. Every single video on that page, multiple times. Every single one. Because most people that write to me and ask me, they haven't gone through even a couple of them. Go through them and slowly, over and over again. Because there's so much I say that you need to pause and reflect on and let that become part of your application, part of your journey. So pray that blesses you. Anything over in the chat area or?
We're good, boo.
I got a question about my keto diet. And I have done a video. If you search and look, mental health and nutrition, I think it is. I cover some of that. Mark and Melissa, I absolutely love the Sunday night broadcast with Max. I wanted to say I would really appreciate a broadcast on your journey with keto and Max is. I'm very thin, so I'm not wanting to lose weight, but I'm very, very interested to hear of the mental health and general health benefits you have experienced, as I am on my own journey of healing from mental health issues. Well, I'll start with me, and then I'll get into Max. It's been quite a journey. I wish I understood the principles of ketosis and the benefits that it has on the brain many, 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 many years ago. Although I have been on a keto-based diet since 2016, I believe. So it's been a while, and I found it to be the most helpful for me. If you're a female, you do need some special tweaking because it can affect you in hormones. Not every female, but a lot of females. It can affect your hormones in certain ways that may need some tweaking. And you said here you're very, very thin, so you're not interested in losing weight. You're going to have to keep that in mind. But the preliminary thing that caused me to change my diet was massive psoriasis from head to toe, basically.
Oh, we said we were going to get a picture.
Yeah.
At some point, we'll have to do
Yeah,
that.
I can.
At some point.
Yeah, it would.
It would take searching.
Let's see if let's see if I can talk and type at the same time, and I'll see if I can pull it up here on my phone. Later on, years later, it moved into psoriatic arthritis, which was a whole other level. And I'm currently on some medication for that to help with the inflammation, because I became stricter and stricter and stricter on my diet regimen, but it had already, when you have an autoimmune issue, it's very difficult to turn it off. And so I've had my share of inflammatory issues to deal with. But that was the first thing that caused me to clean up my diet. And I went to clean eating, and this was about 2013, I would say. And I was pastoring at the time, full of stress and all kinds of stuff going on. But I found that cleaning up, first of all, when I say clean eating, getting the processed foods out, sugars, refined foods, getting more to healthy food, vegetables, getting more of that in my diet, all that. And then I found I just narrowed down more to kind of fine tune for me. And when I was on the medication for psoriatic arthritis, psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis, there's some side effects I had to deal with. And when you take medication, you have to be sober about what side effects may be. And I felt that I was more bloated. Taking weight off was more challenging, and I had mood issues, like more noticeable. Like, wait, what's going on here? This isn't. Do you have the cloth for?
Glasses.
So during that time, I began to learn about the ketogenic diet, which is basically as you take away your carbohydrate intake, your body shifts into a process called ketosis, and ketones get released. And this was a diet that was helpful for people that were having seizures. That's when it was first utilized. I want to say back in the 50s, maybe earlier than that. My date, I don't remember, but within the last century, where they were utilizing a ketogenic diet to help people in that way. So there is a helpful aspect where it's helping some neurological aspects of the brain. So for me, what I noticed is going on that, I had more energy. My whole life, I have struggled with energy ups and downs, where just sluggishness, fatigue. And I think growing up, I had a lot of food allergies as well as seasonal allergies. I just wasn't aware of it, didn't know it. Too much sugar, refined carbs, all that stuff. So ketogenic is a high-fat, low-carbohydrate regimen. It's not something that you can do and kind of like, people tell me I'm kind of keto. You're not really kind of keto. It's kind of black and white, in how it operates. So, but I found for what I do in teaching and being in a lot of sessions, one-on-ones, working with my kids, that I need my energy to be the best it can be, and my alertness and focus. So for me, intermittent fasting combined with ketogenic philosophy has helped me the best. Now, for me, I will not eat. I'll have a bulletproof coffee between 12 and 2, which has a lot of fats in it and stuff like that. and I'll do a decaf because I don't do a lot of caffeine well. 1 cup of black coffee in the morning, and then between 12 and 2, I'll have a bulletproof decaf coffee. And then I'll have dinner. That's pretty much it for me. And it helps the best so far and where I'm at. I tried going carnivore and I hated it. Some people, it works for them. I hated it. I was miserable in it. And I'm like, I've already whittled down so many areas that I don't want to start driving myself crazy, because you can get obsessive compulsive about it too. So now with Max being on the spectrum, we found, man, his diet was a lot of sugar, a lot. And we were very, very concerned. And we found that, make a long story short, we found that when he went to the doctor and they said that he was pre-diabetic, his blood sugar levels were showing that, like, hey, you headed down that way. It scared him. And his black and white thinking kind of kicked into play. And he was like, all right, Dad, I don't want to be a diabetic. I'll do what you're doing. Because up until then, getting him to have certain foods and certain things was very, very difficult. He had for a while, he had maybe 6 foods that he ate. It was very, very challenging, but we just tried to stay in the game with him. So now we do see a difference in alertness and energy with him. It's not like necessarily night and day, but we do see that better energy. And we joked last weekend where we did a cheat day, and he even said to me, man, he said this to you, right? You tell me, some of your perspectives on this. He said to you, yeah, my brain doesn't feel so good doing this.
He didn't. He didn't like it.
And so it made him want to go, yeah, I want to get back on my routine.
Yeah, I was actually quite fascinated with that because with Max, we've been wanting to do this for a while. And for those of you that may know people on the spectrum, have kids on the spectrum, their pickiness with food it's insane. I won't bore you guys with the details of what we've been through with him food-wise, but it's just been like he had just a couple things that he liked. And unfortunately, it was just high carbs and ice cream.
Yep.
He just,
pizza, burgers, fries.
Yeah. So
macaroni and cheese. That was it.
Yeah, basically. He would physically get sick if he put Max is big on smell. If he smells everything.
Mm-hmm.
He still does. He would get physically sick. He has at the dinner table, and that's not fun. So we've been really waiting and like, okay, kind of goes back to the other person's question too about the parenting and you wanting to do the right things and saying and telling all the right things and just going, okay, it's not the time. It's not the time. It's not the time.
Yep.
So when the blood work came around and Max is at a stage where he could hear it, but Max hears things black and white. And so in a lot of ways, it was kind of easy for us to say, okay, buddy,
yeah,
you have to do this.
Yep.
And he went, okay.
Yeah. That's where we use black and white thinking to a benefit in that
right.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. Now for me, I tried to do keto and because I have arthritis.
Before you get into that, what are your observations of him being on that?
Oh my goodness. We saw an immediate change in him. First of all, I mean, he wasn't an overweight kid. He's tall. He's 6'3". He's a giant, so he can carry some weight. But Max is not athletic, like not in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
When we say he's our nature kid, like he wants to sit on the ground and pick worms and bugs and do all the things.
Yeah, sports is not his thing.
No, it's not. So he wasn't getting a lot of exercise either. So he was very lethargic. He already has a hard time concentrating and he can get distracted very easily. But I will say as soon as we started him on keto, like within a week, he was talking so much more. It was Mark and I were looking at each other like, who is this child?
Yeah, like you're right. Like sitting down with us and going, "Hey, how's your day going?" And he's talking, sharing, and you and I are like, that's true.
He will go on walks with us every so often, and all of a sudden he was like, "Can I get in on this?" Because Mark and I are talking the whole time. We're walking, and can I get in on this conversation?
Right. Because we'd be used to him
not caring,
not engaging.
And honestly, Max he still does, even on keto. He does what's called TV talk. And he gets into his head and he has conversations or he repeats the things that he's seen on TV.
Yep.
So
or YouTube or whatever.
YouTube, and he'll just he'll talk out all of those.
Yep.
Anything he's seen.
Yep.
He still does it.
Yep.
He'll laugh to himself. That's what kids on the spectrum do.
Yep.
So he's kind of in his own world. And so we got used to that. And, that's a whole other thing, because it's heartbreaking to have a kid and not be able to connect with them in the ways that you want to. But I will say, since him being on keto, we have had amazing times of connection with him. That's just been unbelievable. And now his energy, he is exercising.
Yes.
We got him a treadmill.
Yes.
He gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Every single morning, he gets up and he gets on that treadmill.
Yep.
This is huge for us.
Huge. Major.
Absolutely huge.
We started with him joining me on some walks.
Yes.
And then, as the weather got, colder and stuff like that. I like getting out there anyway. But he took it on and he takes it seriously. It's great.
He does.
Okay. So anyways,
so
go back into, you were talking about your journey.
Oh, so for me, I would actually love to do keto again. Well, some sort of version. And I have a bunch of ladies that I follow. There's a lot of great women that have YouTube channels about it. For women, we mentioned this last week, that there needs to be some carb cycling. We need carbs for our hormones. So bringing in sweet potatoes, those kinds of things. But I didn't do that. I tried to do keto like Mark, and that wasn't good.
Right.
I was like, I don't want to say emaciated, but I was
you
pretty thin.
You didn't need to
I was
do
pretty thin.
any weight management kind of stuff.
No. So I relate to this person, because I didn't need to lose weight and I lost weight and it was not good for me.
Yeah.
So I did it for about a year, and then I joke, but it's the truth. Christmas hit and M&Ms and Christmas cookies, and I was out. I was out. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to start again in the new year. It didn't happen. So I will say my arthritis was amazing while I was on keto. My gut health, a lot of other things cleared up, and I am considering doing a version.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And I, without getting into the weeds of this, I want to encourage everyone, without obsessing over it.
Yeah.
Because this takes time to learn. It's not like you're going to do something and tomorrow light switches are going to go on. Find what protocol helps you the most, because I believe we live in the most toxic cesspool of environmental, food, the list goes on and on, that our bodies are tapped out.
Yeah.
Our bodies are fighting off more things, I believe, than ever in history, because there's so many things environmentally, in our foods, in medicines.
Drink. Okay. Like even somebody brought up in the chat, magnesium, 100%. People are severely magnesium deficient.
Yeah.
Severely.
Yeah.
Like just add in some electrolytes, do something, vitamin D, water. Even, there's been so many times where you're even counseling with people, and just the basic things of, number one, first of all, we have to understand what kind of medications you're on, because those have very severe side effects.
Right.
Like very severe. So we need to understand that first. But then are you just getting basic things to make sure your body is nourished? Magnesium, vitamin D, water, anyway, go ahead.
Well, anyways, what I was saying is that I think because of the days we live in, we have to be more aware of that. Yeah. It's 200 years ago, you're eating some bread. That bread is way different than what you're eating now. Everything, even, I could get into
Everybody
all kinds
knows.
of trails.
All our OCDers probably know.
Yeah, it caused me people the more spin out. The water I'm drinking, oh no.
Right.
No, this is not to be done in fear. It's to be done in sobriety. But I've had to have many levels of soberly looking at, okay, how do I navigate this journey with the best I know at each stage? And so, for me, ketogenic's been great. If there's any help I can be in future broadcasts, I can share some of my feedback with it. But there's people out there that teach on that stuff really well, explain it really well.
Absolutely.
But the intermittent fasting part of it has been helpful for me too, to kind of give more that sustained energy level, because I can, and especially now during allergy seasons, for me, I have a very difficult time during certain allergy seasons. One of them's right now. The other one's in like August, September, where lethargy, fatigue. So I'm working on that stuff right now, and just allergens and trying to find the best way to help strengthen my immune system.
Who is it? Are you done with your question?
You mean the keto one?
Yeah. Do you
Why?
have more to read? Well,
Why do you
because
ask?
Mr. Zachary Coffee gave a super chat, and I was going to read it.
Oh, okay. He has a question.
It's a encouragement.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Mark. I think it's cool how you mentioned that when soldiers are about to go into battle, their resting heart rate actually drops. It helps to continue working to build spiritual muscle through OCD.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Zach.
There was somebody when I was doing more like deliverance focused ministry with people. There's great things I learned, great observations, and there was good fruit in it, but there was a lot of extremes within it and stuff like that I talk about every now and then. But one of the things a few people said to me that was really great was just don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid. And so many of us are learning how to navigate through our fear response and where fear owns us and where fear drives us. And I think the soldier illustration is a great illustration because some of the high level, I think it might have been like the Delta Force or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was, and if you want to look it up, it's an author named Sebastian Junger. He's written a couple good books, one on tribe, the other one, I can't remember. I think it's Junger, I think it's Junger. Good writer, and not a Christian, but it was just interesting seeing his writings. And he was with troops and observed them, and there was measurable differences between them standby and when it was time to go into battle, whatever that signal would be. Their blood pressure would actually drop. Their heart rate would actually drop. They would get into a zone because they were trained for that. So we as soldiers, we're learning and being trained, but we're being trained from a place of love, not from a place of, oh my goodness, the enemy's coming, I'm in a battle. It's from a place of confidence. I'm loved. My Father's got me. I'm working through this. So that's a big part of it. I want to take a dance break, and I think if there's any others left before we begin to land this plane. What do you think?
Awesome. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go back to your favorite one. All right, I got a question here. This question is, I feel called to be an evangelist. I'm Spanish, but I've lived in the UK for 8 years. What does that sound like, talking with a Spanish accent in the UK, but with a UK accent? I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. Okay. I follow you on YouTube, and you've been an amazing God-sent help in my worst moments. What to do when you have a calling to preach the gospel as an evangelist and you can't cope with attending a church due to long services where too much goofiness is said even from the pulpit.
Amen, brother.
Or sister, whoever it is.
Okay, amen, brother or sister.
I can't find a place for me. I just feel that I don't fit anymore due to so much nonsense. I feel that I'm wasting my time when I go to church, so I've stopped doing it. I feel better when I don't go to church. I would really be grateful if you give me your opinion and some advice about what I should do. I think that a lot of people think in order to have a ministry that you need to somehow
do it in church. You don't.
Somehow, I was going to go down.
Go ahead.
I was going to go
over there.
I was going to go down a different path. No, but you're right that they have to do it like in an official church structure, or you need to have you have to have this kind of training, or you have to have this instead of just practice what's at work within you. And if I waited to find the right perfect place, you hear my journey about being in the mental health and the church. You hear a bit of my story and my journey. I spent years and years trying to take who I am and what I was doing and try to fit it into a church culture, fit it over here and fit it over there. And then I found myself trying to be like a chameleon and try to make who I am work. And then when I released myself of that pressure, I just did what I did and just started making videos and just continued to write and just express who I am. So you don't need to have the title of evangelist. That's overrated. If you have a heart to share the gospel with people, just let that flow in organic ways, right? Because many of you are very OCD about, I got to share the gospel. Just be yourself. And when those doors open and people ask for the hope that lies within you, and use it in conversation. We've done a lot of shoving it down people's throats instead of just being relational with people and just being ourselves. And so just because you don't attend a church doesn't mean you can't share the gospel with people or that you can't operate in that passion. Just do it. And so, like I said, if I found myself living under a bridge with my family because we lost everything, you'd probably see me find a chalkboard or a whiteboard and I'd be explaining to people under the bridge things that I've learned because it's just who I am. It doesn't, in our hardest times, most difficult times, in church, a part of a church, on staff at a church, pastoring a church, not pastoring a church, not being in a church, in all of those arenas, I'd still just let who I am flow. So if I'm having dinner with somebody and all of a sudden they share some things and they like my perspective and I just share with them who I am and like, wow, that's interesting.
Although most people don't ask.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, although most people don't ask
about us. So yeah. Right.
Which actually can work out at times. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, because when I want to go out, when I have dinner, I just want to have dinner and have fun. I don't want to,
Yeah, we'd like to talk about random.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm getting to teaching. Well, go watch the videos. And but I enjoy good conversation.
True.
But I think that I think a lot of people feel they need to have some official thing to stamp you're a minister. And what a minister is, and really, don't get it twisted. We're all ministers.
Right.
Now, there are people who have certain roles, right? And I respect that in the body of Christ. But we are all ministers. And all the saints are meant to be equipped. And that's one of the challenges with modern day churches. We're not equipping people. And then we see ministry, and we see ministry as something on a platform. So an evangelist, somebody's on a platform and they evangelize, it's official, and they have an anointing, and they have a ministry. And I don't promote that kind of mindset. It's like, you have an anointing within you. There you go. Boom. You're anointed. You've said yes to Jesus Christ. The anointed one is at work within you. And but it's not this flashy thing. Just be yourself and let those moments open up and respond to them when they happen.
Right.
And for some, it's being very hospitable and creating just amazing environments for people to talk and share. For others, it's teachers. It's others, they are exhorters. Others are encouragers. Others, there's a variety of facets that each of us have that we're meant to work together and design together. So I actually believe the best ministry is in those organic moments.
Right.
Talking to someone you do business with, or you have a just amazing conversation with somebody at a store or whatever. That
the church has done a disservice of making everyone think that ministry needs to be on a stage.
Yeah.
And
right.
in front of a crowd and
Right.
getting the accolades and the clapping and all the things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's not.
That's
overrated. It's overrated.
It's
overrated.
Is a hot mess, y'all.
Overrated, y'all.
Hot mess.
It's not. The beautiful spice is in the one-on-ones and the small level. That's where the beauty
where you're
happens.
breaking bread and having relationship.
You was talking about bread now.
Hi. You can't
That's
really
what's up.
have bread. Your bread's not that good.
So listen, speaking of food, we're going to go eat. And if you appreciate these broadcasts, do us a favor. You could support these by sending a one-time donation. We don't put any pressure, but for those who feel led and just are so behind what's happening, you can be a monthly supporter. Many of you are like, I need some extra help. I do have a healing and freedom community that I'm building. I'm currently teaching on the OCD healing journey. And I'm getting into some of the nooks and crannies of our thought life and how to relearn and learn how to respond to our thoughts in more fruitful ways. But it's just a great place to plug in, and you can get a copy of the OCD Healing Journey today. And it's fantastic being with you all. Look forward to next week's broadcast. And keep in mind, too, I may be doing some live broadcasts this week. So stay tuned to that. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. This is your brother from another mother.
And your sister from another mister.
Saying, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. We'll be back with more insights for your healing and freedom journey.
We out. Oh, I said it too soon.
I feel like I want to say what Max says. Are you mad?
I know, right? My goodness. Thank you, everyone.
Love you.
Have a great week.